Hi everyone, Brian Eade here, President of Michigan Insurance and Financial, here with...
And I'm Mick McNeil, Vice President of the agency. First and foremost, we just wanted to make sure that you and your families are safe and healthy given the current climate.
And we wanted to take a few minutes to share with you some videos that we shot with Rick Houghton. He is an attorney with Michigan Auto Law. Wanted to bring in a expert in this field other than us insurance guys. So take a few minutes, watch, and it covers some important topics that are all changing come July 2nd, 2020.
Yep. Special thanks to Rick. We really appreciate his help on this. And we just wanted to say that we really appreciate your business and the support over the years, and can't say thank you enough for that.
And feel free to share these videos with friends and family, as there's just not that much information out there. So we wanted to spend some extra time and really focus on what's changing so you can make better decisions to protect your family. Thanks again for your business. So we want to talk about the changes coming July 2nd involving motorcycles. The weather in Michigan is finally warming up. We're seeing tons of motorcycles on the road. Finally, I'm a motorcycle rider myself. Want to talk to you guys about the changes, and there's huge changes in the state coming to motorcycles that no one is aware of. The legislation, the news anchors, no one's talking about what's happening to motorcyclists. And I think, being a huge motorcycle state, that this is way overlooked. So currently today, you're involved in an accident involving a car. There's 4 levels of policy coverages that you can get coverage from. First starts at the vehicle, the car that's involved. Then it would go to the owner of the vehicle. Then it would go to, if those two vehicles, if there was no insurance on the car or the driver didn't have insurance, it would go to your auto policy. And then if you didn't own the motorcycle you're on, it would go to the owner of the motorcycle's auto policy. So there's 4 levels of coverages. So most likely 99% of the time, you're going to find an auto policy to get covered under. Now, come July 2nd, Rick, tell us what's coming.
And Brian, the important part about that is under all those policies right now, they're unlimited coverage.
Unlimited.
And there's actually a 5th one that gets overlooked by a lot of people, including myself sometimes, because you have to stop and look at the law. The Michigan Assigned Claims Plan.
Right.
You fall there, you still get unlimited coverage today. July 2nd, I ride a motorcycle too. I've got an '08 Harley. I've already been out a few times this year. Can't wait for the weather to get a little bit nicer so I can get out some more. But I tell you right now, my policy is up to snuff. And I've talked to you and your agents about this many times over. Unlimited coverage, because here's what's going to start happening on July 2nd. And it's scary. It doesn't matter what I carry. It doesn't matter what you carry, Brian. It matters what the person who hits you carries. And this is where the legislature really left us high and dry, because you don't get to say, it's not a waterfall. It's not one of those situations where as you go through the coverages, and I'll get to all of them in a second, that you fall over to the next one and then you fall over to the next one. It's a flow chart. Does the person who hit you have insurance? Yes or no? Yes, stop. No, go to the next level. Does the person who owned the car who hit you have insurance? Yes, stop. No, go to the next one. Do you, as the driver of the motorcycle, have auto insurance? Yes, stop. No, keep going. Does the owner of the motorcycle that you're on have insurance? Yes, stop. No, keep going. Then you go to the Michigan Assigned Claims Plan.
And now that's changed from unlimited to a $250,000 cap.
$250,000. But Brian, that's not why it's scary. The reason why it's scary is, let's say that the person who hits you, you come up to a stop sign, beautiful day, someone rolls in front of you and you're just getting ready to go in, you get smoked. And that person is on Medicaid. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But what's wrong with that is they chose the Medicaid option. And so now, as we talked about in our other video, there's only $50,000 in coverage for medical expenses. On a motorcycle, that can happen real fast. There's no protections, and anyone who rides knows if you go down, there's a lot of medical bills that are going to be incurred. So you have $50,000 in coverage, and I know what you're all saying right now, but I bought unlimited coverage. It doesn't matter. The new law states that you have to stop with the person who has the coverage in the highest order of priority.
So basically, you're sitting at that light, minding your own business. You properly protected yourself. You bought all the safeguards in place. You got the best auto coverage. Boom. Accident happens. You are hit by Johnny Insurance Cheapskate. You get whatever they chose to buy cheap.
That's correct.
And now you're depending on what coverages? Uninsured, underinsured. I can't tell you how many motorcycle policies I've seen with no uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. It is absolutely insanity. And then the next one we see is 2040, uninsured, underinsured.
Which thankfully is not allowed anymore. Oh, and Brian, here's the problem with that. Is if you bought the state minimum of $50,000 and the person who hit you, we know bought insurance because we just said they bought the Medicaid option, their state minimum is $50,000 also. You get zero on top of that.
So they cancel each other out. Unless you had 100, 300, then you would be able to get to it because it's not stackable.
Correct.
It's added together.
Correct.
And that's what so many people think. Well, I have 100, 300, at least I'll get 100 grand. No. If they have 250,000 in medical and you have 100, 300, that's it.
Yeah, so what happens is we're not an excess state. We're a difference in limits state. And so what that means is whatever their liability policy is, you subtract that from your liability, from your underinsured motorist policy. So if that girl has 50 and you have 100, you can collect another 50 from your policy. So the way that would break down in Michigan, you'd get the 50 for her Medicaid for your medical bills. You can collect the 50 for her liability coverage, and you can collect the 50 for the uninsured motorist coverage. Now here's where a lot of people get lost on this. That first 50, that can be taken by, let's say that you have an ERISA policy, which we talked about in another segment. They can come get that 50,000. Let's say that you have Medicaid. They can come get that 50,000. Let's say you have Medicare. They can come get part of that 50,000 for your medical bills that they pay. What a lot of people don't know is that that underinsured motorist portion is insulated to some degree. ERISA can still get at it. They have those weird extra liens. Medicare can still get at it. But who can't get at it is your regular HMOs and PPOs that might have some rights of recovery against that underlying 50. That's all contractual. Medicaid can't get at that, you underinsured motorist. So if you're a Medicaid recipient and you have uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage, that's insulated from them. There may be some changes coming on that front. There's been some rumors about that, but for now, let's say that you're a good, well-insured individual and you have a $250,000, $500,000 auto policy for your uninsured, underinsured, and it covers you because you have a motorcycle endorsement and rider as well. Now you have an extra $200,000 that you can get for your injuries if you have bad enough injuries that are related to that crash with your motorcycle that are a little bit insulated at least.
Right. So uninsured, underinsured on motorcycles is going to be probably the most important coverage you can buy when it comes to a motorcyclist, because you have to assume that person behind you has nothing. You know, nothing. And then it goes back to your auto policy. And then if you went cheap on that, now you're going to be kicking yourself in the butt that you're only getting $250, or you have the opt-out, and now you have to chase around your health insurance.
That's true. And Brian, you brought up a point earlier about what happens when your employer doesn't want to wait anymore for you to come back to work. You lose your health insurance coverage. And now you're relying on those liability limits to help pay your medical bills.
And we highly encourage you as a motorcycle rider to pick up the phone and call your health insurance company and ask them how they treat motorcycle accidents.
It's not the same as motor vehicle.
At all. So we had a client that insisted he had a great health insurance plan. We insisted he call and verify the level of coverage. They told him he has a $50,000 deductible when it comes to motorcycle claims prior to them paying anything out.
Right.
So you can buy medical benefits coverage, and if you ride without a helmet, you are required by law to maintain $20,000 in medical coverage on your motorcycle policy.
And that's a minimum, Brian.
Minimum.
And
Which is a joke.
Like I've told my agent Jake, who works for you, I carry my auto limits with my policy. I try to at all times, as long as my insurance company will let me. And that's important to note. Different insurance companies treat motorcycles differently, so you have to talk to your agent about this. And you should be at least paying for what your deductible is from your health insurance carrier for medical on your motorcycle. But if you ride without a helmet, you have to have a minimum of 20, and it's wise to carry some level above that if you want to be fully protected, because there are so many things that go wrong so quickly on a motorcycle.
And medical payments really kick in when it's just you, or you and a deer, or you and another motorcyclist. That is, or a bicyclist, or a pedestrian, whatever you hit other than a car, a curb, a pothole, that you are not getting the coverage from the auto. You are only getting the medical payments you buy. So
That's right.
huge coverage gap. We see it all day long. Everyone brags that they pay $200 a year for their motorcycle insurance, and it is a horrendous policy. Now, the one benefit coming July 2nd is your MCCA that all motorcyclists complain about is actually going down from $220 to $100 on the bike. So I would use that extra savings that you're getting and buy $250, $500 at the minimum for your uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. And those with motorcyclists, those coverages have to meet your BI limits. You cannot buy a $5,100 motorcycle bodily injury policy and then buy a $250, $500 uninsured, underinsured. Those coverages have to match.
They do. They can be less, which I've told you, and we've talked about this many times, is a mistake for anyone because it's such a cheap coverage. And we've all taken motorcycle safety. What is the one thing every instructor drilled into us? It's not if, it's when.
Yep.
When you're on a motorcycle, we all know it's going to happen to us at some point. What we want to do is minimize the risk. And what we're doing is when you buy these coverages, you're not protecting everybody else on the road. You're protecting your own financial stability, because medical bills, they add up fast, and medical debt collectors, they are very aggressive. And as long as you've protected yourself, like you said, it's not just about getting rear-ended by somebody who's using their phone. It's about the motorcycle deer crash. It's about the motorcycle gravel in the road, slid off and hit a tree crash. Those are
the grass
real
clippings.
things.
You know, and those of you who have riders that ride with you, this is another red flag. Like, especially if they're not a member of your household, you grab a buddy and they jump on the back of your bike and you get into an accident. Oh boy, I hope you have high liability limits, because if you get hit by that $50,000 Medicare car, that's all you guys get. 50 you, 50 your rider, and they're going to come after you if they have no insurance or their limits aren't sufficient.
It's true. Or if you're going around a corner too fast and it can be proven, and the bike goes down and the person on the back gets hurt really bad, that falls back on you. And that's where it's really important for people to properly insure themselves, not only in their automobile world, which we all try to do, but in that motorcycle world, which I think gets overlooked by a lot of people.
I 100%. Everyone doesn't want to pay $1,000 a year for their bike. We get it, you know, but you're out there in a unprotected vehicle. You know, they're getting safer by the day, but you cannot control the guy that just mowed the grass up the road or the leaves that blew across the road. You know, we've all seen these situations. We've all had that high side almost incident because you hit the brakes on a wet road or a gravel road, or you got the oil slick at the light. You know, these are These are huge cautions and don't go cheap. Don't go cheap.
And Brian, I think it's really important too for all of your customers to know, it's not just when you're at fault in these situations. It can be the grass clippings in the road that you can't always see if it's the evening and someone just mowed their lawn. We all know that that's like ice. And you didn't do anything wrong, but your bike goes down and your passenger gets hurt. You're going to feel awful about that if you didn't properly have protections there for them.
Absolutely.
And that's really important to note, that you want to protect those people too.
So motorcycle riders, it's for you to make the right choices on bodily injury coverage, because that guy behind you might not have.
And your underinsured, uninsured motorist coverage. Don't forget that.
Uninsured, underinsured, we can't preach it enough. The highest limit you can buy it.
It's cheap.
It's cheap.
It's amazing the number of declarations pages that I look at where I see people that are dropping their uninsured, underinsured down or not having it at all.
Rejected.
And it's $20 a year or $15 a year. Sometimes it's $1 a month, $2 a month, and you just can't understand why people are doing it.
Yep. So ride safe, buy right, and call an expert when you're buying a motorcycle. Don't go online.